Welcome to RevCast, a civilization podcast focused on its console platforms.
El Thrasher,
Duke Blue, 1987.
Scotty X.
Redaf. Sniper Killer.
Yeah.
How do you like to say that?
As in 1P3 RK, 1LL3. but Sniper Killer will do just fine.
I am your lead co-host, El Thrasher. With me is Scotty.
G'day.
Back from his Arctic expedition is Duke Blue 1987. So, Sniper, you're on the PS3 side.
Yeah.
I think you're the first guest we've had on in a long time that is strictly a PS3 player. I think it's been 2 years, in fact.
So I'm special.
We converted Scotty.
Very special.
Yeah. You were involved in starting the chat room, weren't you? With HGB, maybe you were the one who actually did it?
No, HGB made the first one, then I made another one, then he made a third one, and we're using the third one at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Civ of the month, which is the Greeks.
Yay.
They are a Civ that I think people do need help playing because I don't think that they're really that good. Good for some things. They were my first Civ that I was playing online. You can get the early library and focus on tech and then get irrigation, and you can tech up pretty fast. And if playing a free-for-all with some people who don't know what they're doing and all their cities are unbalanced and they're attacking each other with warrior armies well into the ADs and stuff like that, then you can play the Greeks pretty badly and still really crush them, which is exactly what I did. But as strategies have changed and the games get earlier and earlier with the quick aggression and, I'm at your capital right now and I'm killing you right now and everything like that, the Greeks just aren't that good at that kind of thing. They don't have a quick start, aren't going to take a bunch of capitals right away, and they don't really have any advantage for the early aggression. Personally, I struggled with them for a long time, and I know that Duke also felt like they were one of the weaker civs in the game. I kind of feel like I've found a way to play them now, and I've done better in my last few games. But they are an interesting civ because there's a lot of different ways to play them. You can play them passively and just try to grow Athens really big and move your settler, hope to settle on good resources, and just make it a tech powerhouse, which can alternatively switch over to a production powerhouse, maybe if you settle by a bunch of hills and then get the free workshop or something like that. Or you can kind of ignore that stuff and kind of play them more aggressively, which is kind of what I was doing for a while, and I had some trouble doing that, and now I kind of have a hybrid approach, which I think seems to be working out the best. Does anyone else want to give initial thoughts on the Greeks?
Greeks suck.
Yeah, I told you.
Actually, I take that back. In head-to-head, I think the Greeks are extremely poor. One of the reasons why is you start in democracy, that's your bonus. And being at peace generally is a bad idea in the first 10 or 20 turns just because the AI is so weak and they're so easy to abuse, whether you're getting walk-ins, taking them with horses, threading them for gold. Can't do any of that while you're in democracy. So usually in head-to-head, I'll switch out.
You're not even in democracy until your second turn, so you can't change out of it, but that also means that if you find a way to threaten an AI on your first turn, you can't really do it in head-to-head. You can do it in a free-for-all. When people quit on the first turn, you can initiate diplomacy and then threaten the AI and get 25 gold.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can do that as the Greeks without changing your government.
So yeah, in head-to-head, I think they're pretty weak just because in head-to-head, the first 10 to 20 turns usually determine who's going to win the game, and you either have bad bonuses or no bonus. And the courthouse doesn't really come into play when you're only at 2 population. But then going to free-for-all, I actually have played the Greeks quite a bit, even though I haven't played much free-for-all. I actually think they're pretty good because, like you had said, you can kind of sit back, get a couple warriors out, try to get close to your 100 gold as you grow your cap, and then you can work gold to get to your 100 gold, and just the pace of the game moves so much slower in general. That I know one of the big strategies, I think Magin originally posted it on the forums, but you grow to the 4 population, rush a library, tech up the irrigation, and now you've got this big Pop 5 city with a courthouse. And you can go a lot of ways from that, whether it's teching or production or whatnot, depending on what your map looks like. That's actually quite effective in free-for-all, because then you can kind of sit back, maybe get a pikeman if you need it, get a little bit of gold while some of the other players fight it out, and then maybe if you want to go for like a couple catapult armies and pick off some cities, or you kind of want to tech up to navigation, maybe go to the islands. There's a lot of different ways you can go to it, but it just doesn't really work in head-to-head because the pace of the game is so much faster.
Yeah, that is a decent strategy in a free-for-all game. It's extremely boring to grow your city for that long and have nothing to do on those turns, while other people are like, running around with horsemen and doing all kinds of stuff and running the timer down. But if you can stand it, you can find yourself in a good position to take advantage of the game.
Come back with better units.
Yeah.
That way you'd probably finish off the other guys building some galleons and going after them with catapults or something, would you? Or?
It totally depends. I don't even play free-for-all anymore.
Maybe in head-to-head you can be a real jerk and do, and then they become a great Civ. But that's not really what we want to teach the people.
No, we're not advocating that. So back to the early days of the Greeks. They start with a courthouse.
Yeah, I was going to say, did we even go over their bonuses for everybody?
We're getting into it. The ancient era bonus is knowledge of democracy. Courthouse gives you extra tiles to work. You get 20 tiles instead of 8.
So basically, to take advantage of that, we need to grow our city out or something reasonably quickly. Otherwise, you're not necessarily using it at all.
There's another advantage. It means that you can settle it so that you aren't necessarily adjacent to 2 trees, but you have 2 trees within your courthouse range.
Yeah.
Gives you more options that way.
I mostly use them to settle inland so you can't get galley dropped.
Yeah, you can settle inland and still be able to work sea tiles.
Sounds like you're thinking fairly defensively, though, if you're not giving yourself sea access and not thinking of sticking a galleon out it.
Here's what I use it for. I'm going to try to settler rush the AI. I'm changing my government on the second turn and going into despotism so that I am able to walk in on an AI capital.
Yeah, I think that's what we're all doing.
So I want to get out of democracy. Unfortunately, it's actually a hindrance at that point in the game. The fact that the courthouse means that I have more choices in where to settle. It means that if there's 2 trees anywhere that within that 20 tiles, then it's a good spot to settle if I get the walk-in. Really, any place on the map is going to offer you something when you have that much.
Yeah.
When the city starts getting bigger, if you're up to like 5 pop, going with the Mad Gin strategy that Duke was talking about, and you have 5 trees or maybe hills with workshop or something like that in that courthouse range, you can do some serious production. Because Athens, I believe, should always be very specialized, even when it starts growing larger. You're going to grow it, then you can really grow it by just putting all those workers on your grasslands, or fish or whale if you are able to. If you want to tech, you can do some crazy amounts of tech. I think the courthouse is good, but it's not start with a great person good or something like that. Democracy, the downside, of course, is that we have to have that turn of anarchy, but we're usually walking our settlers at that point anyway, so that anarchy doesn't cost us anything.
Yep.
That's why I'm changing government on the second turn. Now, I know that some people will settle, research horseback riding, using democracy to speed that up, and then go into anarchy, but I don't really think that that's the best. I want to take a chance on getting that walk-in instead, or being able to bully the AI in some way, or maybe even walking up on my human opponent and ending the game right away.
Yeah, you're telegraphing your strategy a bit. If they see you get HBR and then they see you go into anarchy, you're probably going to...
Yeah. I wonder what's coming next.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've always found it's quite frustrating. Let's say I've decided not to go out of democracy. I'm doing my thing, and then suddenly I go, oh, God, here's a chance for me to do something. So I switch out of democracy, and then I go, okay, well, now everybody knows exactly what I'm doing.
If you're just getting one tech, it's not going to save you that much time.
Every turn you can get is a turn gain.
And that's true, but you lose the turn going to anarchy anyway. It really depends on what you want. Maybe you walk your settler and settle in a spot that has 3 fish or something like that. You're like, oh my God, 3 fish, and I can research bronze working really fast and be able to grow my city and tech at the same time. That could be a really good thing to do. Then you might want to stay in democracy to get that. But generally, my percentage of walking in on AI caps is pretty high. I mean, above 50%, maybe above 75%. So switching out of democracy on the second turn just makes so much sense to me.
Mm-hmm. But once you got the AI cap, how long does it take you to get back to democracy, or do you never get back?
That's an interesting question, because that's something that I kind of struggled with for a while. Because what I was doing was I would then build a horseman army and try to just kind of do the normal thing. You can't go back into democracy then, because what are you going to do with a horse army? You can't attack anybody then. So,
except tell them when you're about to attack them.
Switch government. Maybe that's not going to be a good strategy. I was having trouble with the Greeks because I would want to stay aggressive past that initial lock-in and just have trouble doing it because I wasn't leveraging that other advantage of democracy of being able to tech faster. So now what I'm more likely to do is try to get one early capital, whether it's a walk-in or maybe I use warriors or something like that, and then go into democracy and have my 100 gold and try to tech up to something really quickly, whether maybe it's legions, maybe it's irrigation, maybe it's code of laws, something like that. I feel that works better.
Are you scouting out the map a lot? Are you sending your militia and warriors and stuff out to to see a lot of the map? Would you just figure, well, I've got a pikeman in this army, if he rocks up and finds it, well...
Should always be scouting the map.
One of the challenges for me is if you don't build the horse army, sometimes you limit yourself in the amount of gold you collect on the map.
Yeah.
Which then gives more gold to your opponent. And also, filling those as far as the warriors will see. Sometimes you can build a galley, but that's kind of hard when you don't have a lot of gold to begin with. So you kind of get stuck in your little side of the map when your opponent has the entire map and you don't really know what's going on, and it's hard to make good decisions that way.
Are we going to the islands, or are we going to just expanding just wherever we see the nearest decent spot, or expanding backwards away from the other human players going to be, or even towards them?
I don't see any reason to expand away from your opponent because you have the hoplites, which are pretty good for defending. Early on in the game, I mean, first of all, you don't have to research anything before you can build them, which is nice. They're pretty tough. They can beat a horse army sometimes. And if you army them up, nothing in the ancient era is going to scratch the paint on them. You can be aggressive with it. Like somebody puts a hoplite on your tree in 2900 BC or something like that. What are you going to do? How long is it going to be there? It's going to be there a long time. I mean, you can also just use them to cover your armies as you attack.
Oh, yeah, they're good for that. Yep.
They'll really stop counterattacks in a big way. But on the downside, they're expensive.
A lot of things, too. I don't put hoplites in every city. I'll just put, like, a warrior or something in there. And it's kind of... A lot of times people won't attack you because they'll think it's a hoplite. Or they won't attack you with just, like, a warrior army or something. You can put unit on a hill by the city or something like that. That way, especially if it does get flipped, you're just attacking a warrior instead of another hoplite.
Yeah, I do that as well. Or just have some legions around. And if just standard stuff that I always advocate on this show is don't build a ton of defensive units in all your cities just because it seems like a good idea. Because the great artist, it's a waste of hammers. And when you get flipped, it just means that you can't get your city back. I build so many legions in my games these days. I definitely build more legions than defensive units. What else are we doing with the Greeks? I'm not building horsemen with the Greeks very much anymore.
No, I am. I always horse rush as the Greeks. I find that when you're in a democracy, other people tend to think you're going to turtle. So you just go around, wait with your horse army, and when you see them pull out a settler, you go in a despotism and attack.
Okay.
So you're showing them your horse army, are you? To keep them on their toes?
No, I'm not showing it. I'm just waiting for them to expand and think that I'm going to be passive the entire game. Mm-hmm. And then I just seize the opportunity.
That's going to slow you down a little bit in your start, though, I suppose. Maybe you'd figure that that's an okay sacrifice for being able to catch them unawares.
No, I don't think that. You can always get a lot of barbarians with the horsemen.
That's true. Are you then teching irrigation, code of laws? What are you doing?
I go straight to code of laws and expand.
Okay. Possibly you're switching into Republic by the time you're pressuring them anyway.
Yeah, I think that's the best approach because otherwise you'll just have to stay in democracy, not being able to attack without sacrificing.
Yeah.
Well, in the beginning it's 8 gold a turn when you're at 2 pop in Athens.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you get more cities out, more population, it all accumulates. I don't like that. And well, Republic is not hard to get when you're Greece.
Yeah.
So how big's your capital population?
My capital mostly around 3 to 4 pop, and then when I get Republic, I bring it down to 2 again. More cities are always better for me.
Yeah, and you're not getting a library.
It depends. Sometimes it's always better to get a library as Greece because it stacks well with democracy.
Yeah.
But sometimes I just go all out on the horse army and then make the best of my democracy.
I don't usually get it unless I'm just totally flush with gold.
Ian was saying he was expanding and then building his libraries, and that because he was saying something about it being the opposite of Japan, where Japan you build a library and then really early on.
I'm just kind of against libraries, I guess.
I think if you don't build a horse army, a library is good because you can get to Code of Laws pretty quick with just like 2 or 3 cities.
Could be quite good to get to Code of Laws fast, get out of democracy, and stop telegraphing all of your actions.
Well, one thing's nice, if you do have the library and you grow your cap to 3 or 4, assuming that's where you put your library, you can pretty much use that one city to tech the Code of Laws and then just bank hammer and grass in your second city, and then you'll have like enough resources to rush a settler for free as soon as you get into Code of Laws.
It's true.
And then you have 2 cities besides your cap. If you still have that library, you can tech like the middle level techs like literacy, construction if you have some hills or something, maybe banking. You can kind of pick up some of those slowly while still expanding out of your other cities.
You'd advocate not expanding out of Athens, population it?
Yeah, I would definitely expand out of Athens, but I might take a little bit longer if I did rush the library in there, just because to kind of get some return on that investment.
So we're in medieval by now, and there's the more great people bonus.
Yeah.
Ooh, more.
What that bonus does is you accumulate great people points at plus 50%, which means that you get a certain amount of culture every turn, which help you reach benchmarks. You're getting to those benchmarks 50% faster. So we're at Code of Laws by this point, so we're probably adding 7 culture per turn instead of 5.
Which, well, yeah, if you found AOC, then you might be okay. If you haven't, then what difference is it going to make? You've only just started accumulating these when you switch out of democracy, so you're already well behind the ball.
Yeah.
By the time you actually get your first great person, the other guy is all over you like a bad smell.
Or you get School of Confucius or Monarchy bonus or something, and it doesn't even make a difference.
Yeah.
I almost always will earn Monarchy or
500 gold or
Invention, 500 gold, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Before I am getting a great person from culture. I rarely ever get a great person, usually only if I find the arc.
Yeah, it's got to be the arc.
Or maybe get a wonder or something like that.
And the very idea that you'd do anything to increase those chances would just be terrible strategy.
This bonus does nothing for you unless you play a long game.
Yeah.
It does nothing for you in the short term.
Even then, it'll have to be one hell of a long game because, like we were saying, Monarchy, Invention, you're popping a whole bunch of other ones automatically anyway. Now you're talking way out in the future that you're popping your extra ones.
If it's a game that ends in Oxford Bombers, you're getting 1 for Monarchy, 1 for Invention, 1 for 500 gold. Game over. It's over. There's no way you would get more great people in that game. So it's a pretty bad bonus, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's got to have Oxforded Flight, and you're using it for some GSs so you can get, I don't know, a spaceflight victory or something.
Better chance of getting your 10,000 gold great person. I think you get one at 10,000 gold.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Very good. Gold star. Should be called more great people, but not very many more great people.
Maybe one more great people sometimes.
I think we're expanding Code of Laws, kind of what we do with most civs. Try not to have to buy too many hoplites because they're really expensive. If you have to put a hoplite in your city, the cost of that city increases from 20 hammers to 35 hammers, which, isn't that great. But, there's some other things that you can do in the medieval era with the Greeks. You might consider a catapult rush. Like, if you settle by 4 hills or something like that, you can tech construction. You should be able to get there first, and then you get the free workshop. And that's 12 production, which is quite good. If I remember correctly, a catapult's 20 hammers, so you're building them every 2 turns. Add some gold in that from your other cities. You can get catapult armies up really fast and add them to your hoplite army, and mathematics is on the way to navigation, so now you've got a galleon to transport your catapults and, try to end the game right then and there.
Probably the best strategy for free-for-all. Like I said, it's boring, but you kind of grow your city, maybe get a workshop, get a catapult army or 2, navigation, and then you can go try to kill a couple people, maybe take some cities while you expand.
It's a good strategy for head-to-head as well.
If you're still alive by then.
Well, you can be alive. It's not hard to stay alive as the Greeks.
Hoplite army.
Hoplite army. You're going to be fine. Sometimes legions are better. Legions cost half as much as catapults. They attack at half the strength, but sometimes numbers are better. playing against an American player, I think you would definitely want legions instead of catapults.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a whole bunch of little cities protected by militia, and so you need to just rapid fire attack.
Or because if the game's gone to catapults, you've already lost.
That's probably true.
Playing the Greeks against China or America is terrible.
Yeah.
They're sitting out there, they're probably going to out-tech you, out-expand you.
Because they're better in the first 20 turns and the 20 to the rest of the game.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're thinking, gee, I'm the Greeks, and yet I have to be psychotically attacking these guys.
Really all you can do. Either hope that your opponent's not very good. Catapult rush. The only time I wouldn't probably is if I didn't settle near a bunch of hills. If you can't get that production out, then that's probably not a really good way to go. Then I might want to keep expanding. I have seen players, I've never done this myself, but players play Greeks and use democracy to try to get feudalism quickly and then do a night rush, but I think that's a little dodgy.
One thing that this might be jumping in an industrial area a little bit, but in Madgen's original strategy, what he did is he grew to 4-pop, got irrigation to library or whatever, and then tried to pick up as many of the low beaker techs as possible, and then hit Code of Laws as his 14th tech.
Mm-hmm.
So then he would start getting settlers out of Athens and his other cities that he had, and so he'd be losing 1-pop, and when he settled a new city, it'd be at 4-pop, and then he'd rush the library in there if he had enough gold.
Mm-hmm.
Or just build it because it's half-cost libraries and industrial. So then if you can do that quick enough and survive till then, you only need probably like 6, 7, 8 cities, and you can get to Oxford or whatnot.
Half-cost library is kind of an interesting bonus. I think more so for the Greeks than for China, who's totally doesn't need that. But with the Greeks, that makes it the same cost as a settler, which means that really a lot of the time, if teching harder is your goal, that building the library makes more sense than building a settler.
It does, yeah, especially if you have like a whale die spot or double die spot.
Yeah.
The only downfall with that is it makes you very one-dimensional. You can tech a lot, but what happens if you need gold?
Yeah.
Then your libraries are sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah, although you do make some on overflow.
Yeah, but as you get into the higher techs, that happens less and less often.
Sometimes you get in situations where you're picking up a whole bunch of little techs just so you can get tons of overflow.
Yeah, that happens, especially like ceremonial burial.
That's a great tech for that.
Yeah.
At 33 techs making 900 beakers per turn, and be like, ceremonial burial. I can 870 gold by teching that.
Yeah, once you get into the techs where you've got all the small ones, you're up into like the 300-400 beaker range. I mean, you can kind of plan it so you get overflow maybe like every 3rd or 4th turn. But if your opponent's coming and he's got 5 knight armies on you, and it's like, wow, if I could survive this, if I could make 100 gold a turn, but I can only make 50 gold a turn because half my beakers are libraries, isn't very good.
That is an issue, but still, I found I build libraries with the Greeks more than with any other civ. This is true with many civs. If I'm ending up in a longer game, I'm going to switch back to democracy when I get to industrial. Have the better tech rate, and you're still gaining 2 population with each settler. Probably by then we have navigation, so just settle the whale, build the settler, you're down to 2 pop, but it's going to grow back up fairly quickly. Then the modern age bonus is +1 food from sea tiles, which is the same as the Japanese ancient era bonus. It's not that exciting because it's a modern age bonus, so who cares?
It would work well with everything else, except the fact that by that stage, the other guy is either way behind you in tech, or he's one of those civs that is like America or China or whatever, he's just been, America's already killed you. China is just about to kill you. China's going to shut the door on you.
Generally don't care about modern age bonuses.
Or England. England's just been waiting to annihilate you.
Yes, that would be a problem. But for some reason, are just evenly matched. Nobody can finish the game, and you get into modern. It can help because then now you can just work sea tiles, and cities will grow because probably it's going to be after 1000 AD pretty soon, and that's when the growth rates really pick up. So, I mean, it can be good. If you have, like a 6-pop city or something like that, working just 6 plain sea tiles, so you're getting 6 food per turn, you will start growing that city every X turns where X is the current population.
Yeah.
And of course, modern age bonuses are only important for really long games because otherwise you don't even end up in modern. So I think it's okay.
The other Civ needs to not be China, India, England.
Yeah.
Any of the ones who've got some sort of killer bonus on the way up there, USA or so forth. If they're one of those, your ecstasy tile is just not going to cut it.
We can say about this bonus is it's not plus 50% gold. So
It doesn't hurt you.
is it worth talking about how to play against the Greeks?
Sure. Get horse army, legion, something to their cities, make them build pikemen, expand, win. One thing that I think should be said is you should try to pressure them early, make them build pikemen, because the Greeks can be fairly good if you leave them alone for 20, 40 turns.
Mm-hmm. And don't pin your hopes on irrigation or something silly like that. Understand that if you're not all up in his face, that he's going to be able to hit some of these early tech goals.
Yeah, it's possible he may have a lot of beakers in there and he's just waiting to flick to it to pop irrigation or whatever.
Yeah. One thing, make them expand to the islands, because expanding to the islands is slower since the transportation time, unloading, loading settlers and whatnot. If you can kind of take control of the mainland, expand at your pace, and make him expand to the islands, in case the game does go long, you're at least going to get to industrialization first, and that's really the key.
Yeah.
Just press them. They need to build pikemen in order to expand. So 15 hammers on top of the 20 hammers for the settler, that's way too much for them. And they won't get a lot of gold.
You come up to a city and you want to make sure that it's got a pikeman in it. Do you have a go testing it, or do you guess that he's got one and then move on to try and wander around the back of his empire? Or?
Always attack.
Oh, I'd definitely attack and then just retreat as soon as I see the pikemen.
You can do that or use your militia.
Oh yeah, if you've got a militia, yeah, no problem. Solves the problem. But if you don't, you do run the risk of you attack and retreat because you see
I usually do, yeah. If he's got a pikeman and 3 legions or 3 warriors, I mean, that's 55 gold, right? Or what's that, 45 gold, if I can add correctly. So even if he does kill you, that's still a lot of investment on his part, so you're not losing ground.
Okay, well, I mean, he'd have to have seen you coming from that, of course. He'd have to know that was the city, and then he'd have to have maybe seen you 2 turns ago and popped out another 2 warriors in there to make it 3, and then had to go at you. But militia on a hill or something might have galley sailing by nearby or something might have told him that.
Yeah.
Still be alright.
What else do we have to say about Greek strategy?
Good luck.
A big sigh.
We're all basically waiting for Code of Laws to get some decent expansion in. Or are you popping out any settlers before that?
I used to, and now I'm trying to get that AI capital.
Oh yeah, AI capital first, yeah.
If you don't get a library in Athens at the beginning, then you can probably expand out of Athens and try to get, your typical 20 beakers with 4 or 5 cities. Or I guess it would be 3 to 4 cities if you're in democracy.
I would expand out of that AI cap. Maybe the 100 gold city if it settles on fish or something like that.
Yeah.
But really, we're looking at 3 cities prior to Code of Laws on average, I think.
We've got hardly any benefit from any of their bonuses through the whole game.
Pretty much, no.
Yeah, the first 2 are okay. Oh, half-cost libraries is fine if your game's going there.
Oh, yeah, it's fine if you get there, but...
Well, I mean, if you don't reach the industrial era, then it doesn't matter what your industrial era bonus could be win the game. And
I actually think Greeks are really, really good Civ for playing competition. You're not going to lose many.
That's true. You can defend very easily, and if your opponent doesn't know how to tech up properly, then you will definitely win the tech race. RevCast, Mel Thrasher, with me, Scotty X, Duke Blue 1987, and Sniper Killer. Greeks, great Civ or greatest Civ?
I'll take the Russians.
If you're not using their bonuses, yeah, it might be the Russians.
Yeah, for a free-for-all, they're a great Civ in my opinion, but head-to-head, indeed, they suck.
Yeah. I'd say one of the probably bottom 3 in head-to-head, in my opinion, and probably somewhere in the middle, maybe a little bit better than average in free-for-all.
Ooh, how about teams?
Oh, teams is good.
Always at war, so you don't have that disadvantage to democracy.
Yeah, teams, they're, I'd say, above average as well.
Bottom 3 with Mongols and the Russians, I suppose.
Yeah, I'd actually say the Russians are better than the Greeks in head-to-head, but that's a different argument.
I agree with that. But that is a big argument. See you next time.
information about RevCast, sibling shows Polycast and Modcast, or about Polycast in general, log on to the series' official website, thepolycast.net. Record date August 13th, 2011.
Civilization Revolution, sound clips, copyright Take-Two Interactive.
Copyright Civilized Communication at civcom.net.
vaatan ja godt. Forslamin. Ekom. Uffa fenalalu. Pisto. Uffa fenalalu. Forslamin. Ekom kas. Pisto. Uffafen. Uffafen. Forslamin. Ekom. I believe. Right? Oh, oh, oh. All right. Lord Jai.